If you only had 1 hour left to live, what would you do? This man is holding a DVD left behind by the very person who tried to kill him. The disc contains a full recording of how he was poisoned, almost like a twisted farewell gift. As it turns out, our bald guy is one of the top hitmen working for a notorious crime syndicate. The man on the tape is Verona, one of his fellow assassins. But instead of shaking hands and saying goodbye, Verona injects him with a mysterious Chinese drug. According to him, the poison will gradually slow down his heart rate until it completely stops. And that gives him about 1 hour to live. As if that wasn't enough, Verona even recorded the whole thing just to mock him, like he is filming a vacation vlog. After watching the tape, the hitman smashes his TV into pieces. At that moment, he completely snaps. With nothing left to lose, he now has only 2 goals: stay alive and get revenge. He immediately rushes to his car, using driving skills so insane that anyone who has survived rush hour traffic would probably salute him. He calls his personal doctor. Unfortunately, he only reaches the assistant. He tells her to let the doctor know he is about to become a very dead man, and if the doctor doesn't call back soon, they're all coming along for the ride. The moment the call ends, his vision starts getting blurry. His heartbeat is slowing down, so he floors the gas pedal and pushes the engine to its limits, hoping the adrenaline will keep him alive. Next, he calls his trusted sidekick and orders him to find Verona immediately. The bald assassin then tracks down a local gang and points a gun directly at the leader. He forces a man inside for a private conversation. Within seconds, every gang member has a gun pointed at his head. But at this point, he isn't afraid of anybody anymore. He only wants one answer. Where is Verona? The gang leader tells him that Verona owes him money too. In fact, he has been looking for that guy himself. Hearing this, the assassin suddenly likes him a lot more. He lowers his weapon. Just like that, the two go from enemies to business partners. Then his heart slows down again. He nearly collapses on the spot. But whenever trouble shows up, crazy ideas aren't too far behind. He asks the gang leader to sell him some drugs. Even though the amount would probably make an elephant reconsider its life choices, he still feels absolutely nothing. So he comes up with another plan. He announces that he is about to beat up everyone in the room, and immediately punches the nearest guy. Then he shouts, "Do you know who I am? Come on, I'll take all of you." Right after saying that, he turns around and runs straight back to his car. The whole point was simply to get his heart pumping faster. While driving, he finally gets in touch with the doctor. But there is another problem. The police are now chasing him because he is driving like he is competing in an illegal street race. He crashes straight into a supermarket. Everything in his path gets destroyed. After tearing through half the building, his car spins out of control and flips onto an escalator. Somehow, he crawls out almost completely unharmed. Maybe death just had other appointments today. He runs outside and spots a taxi. Without hesitation, he throws the passenger out and takes the seat. The second the cab pulls away, police swarm the crash scene. He orders the driver to take him directly to the home of a crime syndicate's boss, a man named Carlos. At the moment, Carlos is enjoying the good life. Fine drinks, a luxury pool, and beautiful women. While Carlos relaxes in the water, the assassin suddenly jumps into the pool and signals him to come up for a chat. He explains that Verona poisoned him and demands justice. Carlos refuses, because he wants him dead too. Hearing that, the hitman is seconds away from punching him in the face. "You've been my boss for way too long." Unfortunately, Carlos is surrounded by armed bodyguards, so he swallows his anger and walks away. Outside the gate, the taxi driver refuses to let him back in because he is soaking wet. Without wasting a second, he drags the driver out of the car and starts yelling that the guy is a terrorist. Then he steals the cab and speeds off. A few moments later, the doctor finally calls back. He explains that the hitman's body desperately needs adrenaline. The hospital has some, and he needs to get it immediately. The doctor also mentions that fighting, or intense physical activity, can help generate adrenaline naturally. Right then, his sidekick calls. He has found Verona's brother. The assassin heads there immediately and takes care of him in record time. Then he calls Verona and casually informs him that his brother won't be coming home. Verona completely loses it. He swears he'll make the hitman's girlfriend suffer. Remembering the doctor's advice, the assassin rushes to a hospital, but the nurses refuse to help him. Thankfully, years of surviving on the streets have taught him a thing or two. He learns that some nasal sprays contain ingredients that can help stimulate his system. So he grabs several bottles and starts spraying them non-stop like he is testing free perfume samples. Unfortunately, his behavior attracts a little too much attention. The hospital quickly alerts the police. Realizing he is about to become a wanted man again, he comes up with another idea. He disguises himself as a patient. Although most patients don't usually hide a handgun under their arm, He corners a hospital employee and forces him to get adrenaline. Once he finally has it, he demands an immediate injection. Time is running out. The employee uses a defibrillator. The shock launches him backward like a rocket. At that exact moment, police officers storm the building. He pulls out his gun, threatens everyone, pushes the employee out, and shuts the elevator doors. If you're going to do something crazy, you might as well go all the way. So he injects an entire syringe of adrenaline into his body. The problem is, he has absolutely no idea what the correct dosage is, and he just overdosed. From this moment on, life suddenly becomes a lot more colorful for him. He runs outside feeling like he's floating several feet above the ground. Everything around him starts looking strangely magical. The doctor calls and tells him they'll meet in about 20 minutes. He also warns him about a very awkward side effect. His body will remain permanently locked in combat-ready mode. And sure enough, the doctor wasn't kidding. While standing in front of a wanted poster featuring his own face, a man nearby seems to recognize him. But the second the guy looks down, he immediately turns away like he just witnessed something he can never unsee. The bald hitman instantly rushes outside and steals a police officer's gun. The officer is so confused that he practically begs for it back. In return, he gets a kick for his troubles. The hitman then tosses the gun away and jumps onto a nearby motorcycle. The owner can only watch in complete disbelief. At this point, the streets are being terrorized by a man whose confidence has surpassed both the law and the laws of physics. He is no longer riding with his hands. He is riding with pure determination. He lets go of the handlebars entirely. The wind carries away whatever dignity he still had left. Suddenly, a lot of questionable life choices start making perfect sense. A short time later, the motorcycle crashes straight into a roadside stand and sends him flying. Yet somehow, he walks away with barely a scratch. Main character immunity is one hell of a superpower. Right then, his girlfriend Eva calls. She says she misses him and wants to see him immediately. Only minutes later, he arrives at her house wearing a fresh set of clothes. He gives Eva a kiss and quickly checks the area. Then he tells her to get dressed because they need to leave. Just as they step outside, Eva remembers she forgot to turn off the microwave and heads back in. At that exact moment, the house phone rings. The hitman immediately realizes it's one of Verona's men checking the location. If someone answers, the assassination plan moves forward. He rushes outside and spots a man making a phone call near the entrance. Without saying a word, he knocks the guy unconscious, then calmly walks back inside as if absolutely nothing happened. The two continue on their way. But before long, he notices another assassin following them. He deliberately spills all of Eva's belongings onto the ground. As she bends down to pick everything up, she misses what happens next. A few quick punches later, the assassin has officially retired from the profession. Permanently. Afterward, he takes Eva to a restaurant in Chinatown. There, he finally decides to tell her the truth. He confesses that he is a professional hitman. Some time ago, Carlos ordered him to assassinate Don Kim, the leader of the triads. But because he wanted to retire and live peacefully with Eva, he spared the man's life. Carlos believed the mission had been completed, and to make sure no loose ends led back to him, he decided to eliminate the hitman as well. Eva doesn't believe a single word. She assumes he has had the craziest day imaginable and has completely lost his mind. The bald assassin tries to explain, but it's hopeless. Then the poison hits him again. He collapses right in front of her. Suddenly, he remembers the doctor's advice. Strong emotional stimulation can trigger an adrenaline rush. Immediately, he proposes a very bold solution. Eva rejects the idea on the spot. After all, there are plenty of people nearby. Still, he keeps trying to convince her while reminding her that his life is literally on the line. Eventually, she changes her mind. Maybe because she realizes how serious his condition is. Or maybe for another reason that is harder to explain. The drug's side effects are still running wild, and he completely loses control. Within moments, the two become the center of attention for the entire neighborhood. Passengers on a nearby bus get far more entertainment than they expected that day. The cheering sounds like they're watching a live sporting event. And right at the most dramatic moment, his phone rings. His psychic calls to say he has found Verona. The meeting location is an industrial factory. Unfortunately, it's actually a trap. The psychic has already been captured. Eva is furious that everything gets interrupted at the worst possible time. It's like your favorite show losing power right before the season finale. The bald hitman quickly heads to the factory. He climbs onto the roof and quietly approaches the target area. Spotting a guard above him, he lifts the man clean off his feet and throws him over the edge. Then he enters the building and confronts the assassins inside. One glance is enough to tell him his psychic isn't coming back. Just as he raises his gun, he sees Eva arriving in an elevator. Apparently, she still wasn't willing to stay out of trouble. He immediately opens fire and takes down several gunmen. Then he uses one of their bodies as a shield while moving toward her. Unfortunately, he gets shot in the leg. Fighting through the pain, he and Eva make their way downstairs. A large gunman chases after them, but the hitman circles around behind him and lands a surprise attack. Then introduces the guy to an industrial machine that definitely wasn't designed for human interaction. The man's screams echo throughout the factory. The hitman and Eva run outside. The assassins above continue firing nonstop. He fires back, and somehow nobody manages to hit anybody. After that, the two jump into a car and speed away. The surviving thugs immediately follow behind. A few minutes later, he says his heart is starting to slow down again. Eva is worried about his life. At the same time, she is still trying to process everything that has happened, so she decides to help in her own unique way. The hitman honestly doesn't know what to say. This might be the first time in his life that he hopes his condition doesn't improve too quickly. He spins his handgun with ridiculous style and fires. One shot instantly sends the driver of the pursuing vehicle into early retirement. The car loses control, crashes into another vehicle, and flips several times down the road. But after driving a little farther, Eva suddenly stops her treatment. She gives him a dangerous smile, mostly because she is still getting revenge for him leaving earlier. The bald assassin can only stare into the distance and rethink his life choices. Then he casually turns around and shoots another pursuer. After that, he steps out of the car. Cold and focused, he eliminates every remaining enemy. No survivors. Once everything is over, he and Eva stop at a small convenience store. The hitman limps inside while leaving his girlfriend outside. But after sitting there for a while, Eva starts getting worried and decides to follow him in. Eva follows him inside. What she finds is the bald hitman treating his gunshot wound using methods that would probably make every licensed doctor in America immediately raise their blood pressure. Right then, his phone rings. It's the doctor. He tells him to come over immediately. The hitman heads there without wasting a second. After examining him, the doctor lets out a long sigh. I've done everything I can. Your condition is extremely complicated. At best, you've only got a few days left. Hearing that, the bald assassin realizes he truly has nothing left to lose. He immediately calls Verona and arranges a final meeting in a downtown building. His offer is simple. He'll trade the necklace belonging to Verona's brother in exchange for the antidote. Verona agrees instantly, mostly because he doesn't actually have an antidote, only more poison. The bald hitman walks alone into enemy territory. The guards tell him to leave his weapons outside. Without hesitation, he complies and calmly walks in. Carlos opens a briefcase. Inside is a syringe, the exact same substance that poisoned him in the first place. Carlos orders his men to hold him down so they can inject another dose. But then the hitman suddenly raises his hand and forms a finger gun. The entire room freezes. Everyone tenses up instantly. Verona thinks he is joking and starts laughing. Then the hitman suddenly points at one of the guards. Bang! A bullet tears straight through the man's forehead. The only problem is, the shot didn't come from him. It came from the triads. The crime boss whose life he spared has returned the favor. Carlos and Verona believe the man was dead, so seeing him walk through the door completely breaks their brains for a few seconds. The triads immediately open fire. Bullets start flying everywhere. At this point, nobody is even aiming anymore. The ambush is so sudden that Carlos's men don't stand a chance. The entire place erupts into chaos. With no other option, Carlos and Verona turn and run. Both men sprint toward a helicopter waiting on the rooftop. The bald hitman immediately chases after them. At last, he catches Carlos, just as the crime boss is climbing aboard the helicopter. He grabs him and presses a gun against him. But at that exact moment, Verona attacks from behind. Another dose of poison goes straight into the hitman's body. His legs immediately give out beneath him. Taking advantage of the situation, Verona kills Carlos himself. Apparently promotions are much easier when the boss is no longer breathing. With Carlos gone, Verona becomes the new kingpin. He jumps into the helicopter, then orders the pilot to take off immediately. By now, the hitman's vision is fading fast. His head is spinning harder than the helicopter blades above him. But somehow, through pure determination, he manages to grab hold of Verona. At the same time, he knocks the gun from his hand. Then comes one final move, a legendary headbutt, the kind that instantly reminds football fans of Zidane in the 2006 World Cup final. The helicopter continues climbing higher and higher, yet the bald assassin refuses to let go. Seconds later, both men tumble out of the aircraft, plummeting toward the ground below. During the fall, he wraps his hands around Verona's throat and squeezes with everything he has left. By the time they hit the ground, Verona is already dead. The villain never gets another chance to open his eyes. The hitman slowly pulls out his phone and calls Eva. His voice is weak now, barely hanging on. I love you. There are still so many things I wanted to do with you, but I don't think I'm going to make it. Then he lets the phone slip from his hand, and just like that, the craziest journey of his life comes to an end. Or at least, that's how it should have ended. But this is Crank, a movie where logic takes frequent coffee breaks, and our bald antihero seems to have a very special arrangement with death itself, because somehow he survives. As for what happens afterward, let us just say he and Eva get another chance to spend some quality time together. And that's where this absolutely insane action thriller finally comes to an end.